Wait a minute, you're telling me there's a difference between getting wealthy and staying wealthy?
Well, yes.
At least that's what it says in Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money. And that's exactly what I'll be breaking down today. 3 lessons about staying wealthy from Psychology of Money. Now, I was really excited to check out this book when a friend recommended it because it goes beyond the spreadsheets, the data, the formulae, all of which are critical and can't be missed. But it also digs into the different ways that people think about money. And since our thoughts impact our behavior, that got me thinking of how information like this can help you understand what drives your own financial behavior, whether you save more or less, what and how you invest, and ultimately how your money grows. So without further ado, back to getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. Consider this cautionary tale, which is based on the text. I've changed up a few things to keep it brief and for the purposes of this video. Once upon a time, there were 2 investors. The first investor, who we'll call Ivan, spent years building up his investments to a sizable fortune. Now, due to an unexpected stock market event that worked in his favor, a smart risk paid off and he became a billionaire overnight. Around the same time, another investor, Raphael, who made a fortune with his work in real estate, also bet big on the surging stock market. The same stock market event that made Ivan, our previous investor, one of the wealthiest in the world, sunk Raphael. He was ruined. The story doesn't end here. Years passed, and during this time, Ivan, got overconfident. He made larger and larger bets, got into increasing debt, and eventually lost it all in the stock market. Like Raphael just years before, Ivan too ended up completely ruined. If we were to compare and contrast, where the 2 differed was the timing of when they lost their wealth. But what do you think they had in common? Turns out both were good at getting wealthy, but also equally bad at staying wealthy. You see, to get money, there are plenty of ways to do that, but keeping money, that's a different skill set. Getting money involves risk, optimism, and taking the initiative to go after your goals. But keeping money, that requires the opposite. It involves humility and frugality, knowing that everything that you've made can be taken away just as quickly. In other words, it's about mastering what the author calls a survival mindset. Don't let the word survival scare you off, though. It did for me at first, until I understood. You may find the same thing yourself. Applying this mindset to the real world means appreciating 3 things. Lesson 1 is about being financially unbreakable. Have you ever thought, I just need to pick the right stocks and with enough luck, I'll be wealthy forever? I was recently talking to a friend who bought Nvidia at just the right time, and it made me ponder, imagine if you bought Apple or any of the other big winners at the perfect time. What would that be like? Maybe you could pack it up and live the rest of your days in a fancy mansion, driving a fancy car for the rest of your days, no? Well, according to the psychology of money, it doesn't quite work that way in reality. Instead, the book says this: more than wanting big returns, the aim is to be financially unbreakable. And if you're unbreakable, you stand more of a shot at getting the best returns because you'll be able to stick around long enough for compounding to work wonders. Imagine this situation. Imagine a bull market, a period of time in financial markets where prices of assets or securities are rising or expected to rise continuously. Most people don't want to hold cash during a bull market. What do they want? To own assets that go up substantially. Say that cash earns a 1% return and stocks return 12% a year. If you're holding cash, that 11% gap in how much return you're giving up by not owning those sweet, sweet assets might gnaw at you. But let's pause here a second. What do you think would happen if a bear market quickly followed? That's situation number 2. In a bear market, having cash may actually save you from having to sell your stocks during a period when prices in a market decline by more than 20%. This means that your return on that cash could far surpass that 1% a year that I mentioned earlier, because preventing one desperate, ill-timed stock sale can do more for your lifetime returns than picking dozens of big-time winners. Panic selling a stock at the wrong time because you're out of cash can prevent you from getting and keeping that extraordinary growth. Compounding is not about getting lucky on big returns and is more about having consistent and good returns for the longest period of uninterrupted time, especially in the unpredictable ups and downs that everyone inevitably experiences. Next up, lesson 2 is about planning, but not really. So planning is important, but the most important part of every plan is to plan on the plan not going according to plan. Have you ever heard the saying, you plan, God laughs? Don't get me wrong, financial and investment planning are critical, but the real world is full of unexpected events, which is important to consider if you think you can plan out to a T exactly how things will pan out in 20 years. I mean, I sure didn't expect a virus to cause global lockdowns, did you? The point is that the future is full of unknowns. And as Housel puts it, a good plan doesn't pretend this weren't true, it embraces it and emphasizes room for error. Room for error, often referred to as a margin of safety, can look like a frugal budget, flexible thinking, or flexible timelines as examples. This means you can be okay and live happily with a number of outcomes, say a 4% return a year over the next 30 years, although of course it'd be great if the market did 8%. Now you've made it this far, let's take it home to lesson number 3, which is about having a barbelled personality. A barbell personality is such an interesting term because, at least for me, the first thing that comes to mind is a muscled up gym rat who's at the gym doing deadlifts and squats and chest presses. But actually, a barbell personality, at least in the psychology of money, refers to someone who is optimistic about the future, but also paranoid about what will prevent you from getting to the future. And that's vital. So check this out. When you think about someone who's optimistic, who comes to mind? For many people, what comes to mind first is someone who believes that things will all go well. Maybe we have someone like that in our lives. Okay, but now let's add some nuance. Instead, let's consider sensible optimism, a belief that chances are on your side, and over time, things will lean in favor of a good outcome, even if what happens in between is filled with chaos and destruction. And that's just how it is in life. Overall, the trend can go up and up and up to the right, even though between now and then there are probably going to be pitfalls, losses, companies going out of business, natural disasters, you get the drill. I mean, just look at this. A good mix of paranoia and optimism can be hard to maintain, but it's what's needed. Short-term paranoia to survive long enough to reap the benefits and rewards of long-term optimism. So there you have it, just a taste of what I hope are valuable insights on getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. If you found today's video enjoyable or helpful, I hope you'll consider giving it a like or sharing it with a friend. Join the conversation by leaving a comment below, and feel free to subscribe to get updates about my newest videos. It'll help me a lot as well. Until next time, here's to your journey towards feel-good personal finance and financial success.